Good morning, folks. Welcome back, but we're not on the farm today. We got kind of a special video going on. Kelly's off today, and we got Brandy along. Hi, Brandy. Say hello. Because it's cool enough today, she can come along and she won't overheat in the truck. But, just like last year, we're going out on Junk Jaunt 2022. If you don't know what Junk Jaunt is, it's a giant sale that Nebraska has every year. It's like 300 miles of yard sale over 3 days with lots of antiques and junk. They sell a guide so you can find all of the dealers around the big circuit that they have. They have the map and everything where you can follow along. But people come from all over the United States. They hook up their big cargo trailers and they come out to Nebraska for Junk Jaunt to find antiques and collectibles and sometimes just junk. So if they're like me, they like the rusty, crusty junk that you can put back to use or just use for decorations and such. But we're going to take you along the way today, so come along. We're going to have a blast. Hey, no good morning starts without a stop here at the Tumbleweed Cafe. The must stop. Now Kelly starts a couple days before and starts hashing out her master plan, and she gets it all marked down in the book. And then we follow the plan around. This morning we're starting early because usually Junk Jaunt is Friday through Sunday. But there are some vendors that start on Thursday, and those are the ones that we're hitting today. Now, Junk Jaunt is a huge boost for tourism and the local economy. I've heard stories that just our county alone will take in about $4 million over the weekend, which is a pretty good boost for the local economy. All the hotels are full. All the restaurants are full, the gas stations are all pumping gas, and you got a lot of people coming in from all over the world, like I said. The funny thing is, a lot of these vendors, they'll have these huge buildings that they do nothing but store Junk Jaunt stuff in, and they'll gather stuff throughout the year from all over the country. I've seen people go clear to Texas with a trailer and bring back stuff to sell at Junk Jaunt to people that come in from Texas, and they'll buy it and take it back to Texas. It's pretty crazy. But they'll dedicate whole shop buildings at their residence, and they'll have them open during Junk Jaunt, and then when Junk Jaunt's over, they close the door. They may throw a few things in there over the year, but that thing stays closed till the next year when they reopen it for Junk Jaunt. So we hit our first stop. You see these two Pachinko games. I had one of these when I was little because my brother, he was stationed on the USS Midway in Japan, and he bought one of these and sent it home to me. I always had a ball with these things. It's like a Japanese slot machine almost. Got some signs here. Some old Tonka toys I used to have also.
Like I said, there's a ton of stuff.
Kelly found a giant old colander that we can use for bringing stuff in out of the garden. Some Pyrex bowls over there. Now this is one of our favorite spots here. They've got like 5 buildings here full of stuff, and there's a whole bunch more vendors that set up inside. The Junker's Gold Mine here. All these buildings are full of stuff too. This building here has got a lot in it. Here's one of the old hay forks they used to use in the hay barns on the hay trolley. You'd scoop the hay and send it up into the barn, and then you could pull it and you'd trip it and it would open. And dragonflies and flowers. Jack-o'-lanterns made out of old propane tanks. That's a neat idea. this right here is really artistic. I like this. Big old dragonfly. Here's an old hand corn planter. You put your seed corn in here, and then you shove it into the ground, and then you pull the handles together, and it opens up the ground there on the bottom. And then when you pull it back apart, pulls a seed out of the seed hopper and drops it down that tube and right into your hole down on the ground. There's an old blacksmith post vise. Anything blacksmith has gone up in price since they do that Forged and Fire show on TV. Used to be able to just pick these up for free just to get them out of people's yards, but you can see they want $100 for this vise, and it's not even restored. You'd have to completely restore that vise. Old church bell, $1,500. Pretty steep. Here's an old cast iron 2-burner pot. You don't see those very often. Usually they got a big metal handle on the top, but those would cover 2 burners on your stove. It's quite a whip right there. I'm glad Mom didn't have that back in the day. Nice old wood burning cook stove. They only want $300 for it. That's a pretty good deal for that. You got one of the old clothes wringers over here with the washer. Well, if you drank a whole lot of coffee, you would need one of these. But I think it's an old grain mill. I don't think it was a coffee grinder. If it was gigantic. Nice old potbelly stove. These are really cool. If I didn't need such a big stove in the shop, I would have went with one of these. Now you could get a real nice swing with that hammer, couldn't you? It's crazy. So we found some license plates we wanted, and the lady gave me a really good deal on a bundle. She said she'd give me a good deal if I mentioned their business. And this is their business. They're open actually year-round. They're not just open at Junk Jaunt. So anytime you're in Sargent, Nebraska, you can come by, and they got just a bunch of antiques here. Many buildings. If you're an antique shopper, this is the place you want to stop. Some blacksmithing tools here. You don't see those very often. A collection of lightning rods that were very prevalent out here in Nebraska, but you don't see them too often anymore, and they've become collector's items. Some of them had the weather vane actually on them, like this one, but I think there's parts missing. Now, these windmill weights here are a hot item also. They go for lots of money, and you don't find them very often. Cast iron tractor seats, very rare. As you can tell by the prices, this price here is not too bad, but it's not a very ornate seat. The more ornate they are, the higher price they get. But most of the tractor seats you find nowadays are those stamped out tractor seats that are just real flimsy. These are the good ones here. I'll give you a wide shot, just this one room here in one of the buildings. Amazing amount of antiques. And we still got 3 more rooms in this building to go. Now this is an old seltzer bottle box. It's got a bunch of the bottles in it, and they had a very unique cork in them. It was a spring-loaded cork on the inside. This one doesn't have one. You see here, this one's got one, but you push down on that to open the bottle, and really heavy glass. And then once they were empty, you turn them over, and they sit in the hole in the bottom of the box. Pretty neat. Here's some old milking cow hobbles. You would put this on their ankle section or area of their leg, and then you can tighten them up by pulling the chain through this slot here, but kept the cows from kicking you when you were milking them. And all kinds of other neat stuff. I could spend all day just here at this one antique spot. An old cider press there. Old drain set. Bunch of old bib overalls. Here's an old single cylinder hit-miss engine. I don't think I've ever seen one like this. If you know what this is, drop me a comment here and let me know the make of this old hit-miss engine. It's pretty unique. They want $600 for it. Old gas pump front.
My mother-in-law, when she was a little girl, her granddad went out, cut down a tree, and made this cupboard.
This white one here?
A white one, yeah.
Wow, he was pretty
he
skilled carpenter.
He had a glass cutter too, and he cut the glass.
So this one's obviously not for sale.
This was not for sale. This one's going home with me as soon as I get time to make a spot.
I love people that appreciate history and don't get rid of stuff.
Yeah.
Here's a neat old map we found. Nebraska apparently was a lot bigger back in the day, because this shows as Washington, Oregon, and Utah. There's no Wyoming over here, and there's no North Dakota or South Dakota, because this shows British Columbia up here, or British possessions. So that would be where the northern border would be. But a very interesting old map. There's no date on it. These old glass reamers are hard to find. We have a couple of them, a large and a small, but they got a bunch of them here. If you've never seen one of these, this is how you give a cow a pill. You pull the plunger back, shove it in the end, you shove this down the cow's throat so they can't spit it back out, and then you push the plunger and it pushes the pill out, and then they swallow it. Never seen these before. These go into wine barrels. They're wooden valves. You drive them into the hole, and then you turn this to open it. It comes out of there. It gets so cold here in Nebraska that even the mannequins have their headlights on. My daughter Becky would love this shirt. Sanderson Sisters Brewing Company. Well, for lunch we made it down to our favorite local Mexican restaurant, Chuy's Mexican Restaurant. Best tacos in the area. That's the one thing we do miss about California, is the good tacos. But we're glad we found this place here. Here's an old Maytag motor from washing machine, original paint and everything. Listed $150. They'll get that easy, especially if it runs. Which looks like it wouldn't take much to get it running if it wasn't. Now here's something I've never seen before, is some old metal barrels. Shaped like a barrel and everything, and they're solid steel. See what it says on the side. Standard Oil Company, Nebraska. It's out of Nebraska even. Those are pretty cool old metal barrels. Here's a spherical fire pit somebody made. Pretty artistic. I saw one of these made one time, looked like the Death Star from Star Wars. Here's a big old metal safe. Now you don't see these very often. It's an old sideways hand pump. If you remember, hand pumps usually had the handle over here, but this was made for like inside of a house, like in a kitchen. So your hand pump, your sink would be here, and your hand pump would be on this side, and that way it's not in the way of everything on your counter. So you would just pump with your left hand and water comes out right here. Now I have found if you want to get the most out of Junk Jaunt here in Nebraska, stick to the highway, avoid all the residential vendors, because most of the time they're just yard sales. And yard sales are fun if you're out doing that one day, going through town, going to yard sales. But if you want to get the most out of Junk Jaunt and get more bang for your buck, stay on the highway, stay on the main route, and stop where all of the junk vendors are. The people that actually go around the country gathering this stuff up to sell. They have the best stuff. You don't want to go 5 miles off the beaten path to go to a glorified yard sale where they're going to sell old Tupperware and a coffee pot with a pot that's got a broken handle. That's just not worth your time. If you're going to make it around the loop, you need to get on the highway and move. Log cabin doll houses. Even a barn over there. It's $275 for half a windmill rotor. I just bought a whole windmill with the rotor, the gearbox, and the tail for $400. So you can find the deals if you're looking for them. Now, these items right here are called spool spacers. These go on a disc between the disc blades, but they make really cool candle holders. You fix them up, put a candle that fits inside of there. Pretty cool. We got a few of them, different sizes. Spacely sprockets. Old ice cream maker top, hand crank for the top, missing the bucket and everything else. White Mountain brand, very popular brand. Some nice ornate cast iron pedestals would be really easy to repurpose for something.
Okay. I was just thinking I should have grabbed something.
How would you like to have this in your kitchen?
Always somebody that asks.
You could give 4 kids a bath in these things. Got a whole train full of clean burning Wyoming coal going east. The original green fuel. It comes from the earth. It's all natural. Old milk machine buckets. Old row planter pods. An old honey extractor, really old. Throw your frames in there and turn the crank and it spins it. Neat old wrought iron gate stuff. I think now the town of Cairo, Nebraska, they really get into Junk Jaunt. They turn it into a giant street fair where the whole town goes way down the main street here. Everybody gets involved. There's vendors all the way down the street down here. There's a merry-go-round with the horses, $1,150. Lots of toys here. Had a few of these when I was little. Got some signage down here. Well, we hit everybody here on day one. Kelly's mapping out her master plan for tomorrow. But now we just got to wait for morning, but y'all don't have to, because in a flash, we'll be doing this again tomorrow. So when we're editing this video, it got way too long for two and a part of a day out on the Junk Jaunt trail. So we're going to break this up into 2 videos. So we'll wrap this one up. And we'll play the rest of Junk Jaunt in the next video. So stay tuned. Till then, stay safe, stay healthy. We love you guys. Come back and see us and see the rest of the treasures we found out on the trail.